Hi, everybody. This is Bruce, and today is July 7th, a couple days after the 4th of July. We hope you all had a great 4th of July. Ellen and I are here to do another 4 weeks or so of some aha moments. And this particular week, for the next couple of weeks, we're going to talk about the many faces of fear. The many faces of fear. So I hope when Ellen gets on here, she's going to talk to us a little bit about what fear really is. So, hi, Ellen. Will you say hi to everybody?
Hi everyone. I am sure that all of you are doing fantastic, and I am so grateful that you have decided to join this next few minutes with us, and that we might be able to instill in you or give you some insights towards any negative or fears that you might experience or might have experienced in the past. As humans, we all experience fears, and fear is part of our living experience. And fear can be a good thing if we use it as a fuel to help us move forward. Yet many times, most of the times, it actually stops us from achieving and living the life that we truly desire in our heart to live. And so we decided that we were going to discuss the different phases of fears, because so many times um, it hides between the many names that we call the emotions. But at the end of the day, the essence of those emotions, whatever we call them, is fear based. And so I believe that when we uncover and we discuss about it, we talk about it, you might come to a place where you say, wow, I didn't realize that was a fear. And I had a client. I'm gonna give you a story about a client few months ago. I think it was last year. Yeah, last year. My client has is an entrepreneur and is looking to expand his business and be successful in his business, just like any entrepreneur. Yet, those of you entrepreneurs out there, you know that a lot of times it's very challenging when you make a decision to go for your dreams, and you will find that you find yourself with many trials and tribulations. And that's mainly because you have decided to make something different, to do something different, to do and follow what your heart desires. So fear will be there all the time, most of the time. And so as an entrepreneur, one of the things that differentiate us from other people is that we act regardless of the fears that we feel. It's not that we're not fearful. You know, the greatest people in history have felt fear, but they have acted regardless of all the fears that they have had in life. And that's what makes them great. That's what makes you great. That's what makes us great, because we don't allow fear to stop us from going towards our goals and dreams. And so I was talking to one of my clients, and I said, well, after speaking to him for a little bit, I realized that he was fearful of success. So he was kind of blocking his self on his for himself. And so I said, I am not sure, but I get that you are fearful of success. You have a fear of success. And when I say that to my client, he said, oh my God, I never thought of it. I never thought that I would be fearful of success, because I feel that I want it so much. I really want to do well in my business. I really want to be successful. I love to serve people. I want to serve people with my products and my services. And that's what I live for. I have a passion to have a successful business, a business that can run with whether I work or not. Once you systemize a business, that can happen. And it takes a lot of work. Yes, it does. And when I brought that to my client, he actually felt it. That yes, he felt it from the inside, from the his heart say, yes, that's exactly what it is. I've been asking myself, what is really going on? I'm doing everything that I can, everything that my coach suggests me to do, yet I feel that I'm still not going forward as fast as I would like to. And how many of you feel like that?
Ellen, how did it manifest in his? How did the fear that he was fearful of success? How was that manifesting it in his life, so that he wasn't getting ahead in his business?
One of the things that he was experiencing is that he will experience small successes. Like he make a phone call, he'll be able to schedule an appointment with a client, or he'll be able to sell his services or products. Yet at the last minute, something happened and it didn't go through. So it wasn't like he wasn't working towards what he wanted to do, but things always came to not happen, for things not to happen. Or another thing that he will do, because he was so fearful of success, another thing is that he might make that first phone call, make a connection with the person, and might not follow up with the call to close the deal, or to confirm the meeting or the presentation. So those are little things that a lot of times we do. We either don't follow up and we don't get things done because we're so afraid of it. We know this is what we really want. Another thing that many times happens, and I don't know if you find yourself in this situation, is that you might say, you know what, I really want success, and I'm doing everything that I can to succeed. Yet there are main things that you don't do, like making those phone calls. How many of us entrepreneurs know that we need to make connections and that we must make connections with clients or with prospects, yet we fail to do it because that little voice inside of us tells us that we're not good enough, or that they might not want what we have, or we make things more complicated than they really are. So there's so many things that we can do unconsciously. We don't do this consciously. We think we're doing what we need to do to make it happen.
So what I'm hearing is that maybe that little voice inside of us is driven by fear that says, well, I won't bother calling back right now because they probably don't want my product, or I won't call until after lunch,
Mm.
or gee, I'll give this person more time to think it over. Are those things that maybe when you're sabotaging yourself like that are sort of pushed out from fear?
Yeah, and one of the thing is that, see, a lot, what while most of us call that is procrastination, right? So procrastination is one of the faces of fear. But if I tell you, or I tell anybody, you procrastinating and taking action in doing what you need to do, making that phone call, on connecting with your prospects, on going online and going to a network meeting, or going onto a social media and go to a forum, you'll say do it later. That's procrastination. Procrastination is one of the phases of fear that most of us don't think of it as fear. We don't think it's fear. But the essence of procrastination is fear.
Hmm, that's interesting, isn't it? I had never thought of it that way, that it's actually fear. Um, Are we born with fear? I mean, is it something that is ingrained with us when we are born, or and as a, like I can see certain parts of fear being protective of us. Don't put your hand on fire when you're a baby. Don't go out here. Don't do that. So, are we born with fear?
That's a good question. And honestly, I don't know if we are born with fear. I do know that is one of the strongest feelings that we have as humans. But most of the fears, I do know one thing, that most of the fears that we know are learned. It is in our instinct to fear or flight, they say, right? If there's some, we find ourselves in danger, we automatically act and we flight. So because our body sense that is danger is about to happen or is happening, so we go. So that is an emotion that help us to keep ourselves safe. Yet, most of the fears that we experience are learned fears, whether they were that we learned it from our parents early on, and because the first 6 years of our life, we're actually doing a lot of observation and a lot of taking in. We don't even realize that we are learning all these emotions, and we're taking them in as ours. So I do know that most of the fears that we have, they're learned. I do know that we are born with the emotion to keep ourselves safe. Yet most of the fears that we have has nothing to do with safety. It's an illusion. You know, it's a lie that our mind tell us because our ego gets on the way and doesn't want to get out of the comfort zone.
It's interesting that you say we've learned a lot, so I guess that means that certain fears will be passed down from generation to generation, maybe like from a mother to a child to be protecting him or her, and the next thing that child says, well, it came from my mother, so I'll send it on to my mother on down the line.
So,
I guess that's how we perpetuate certain fears.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, and that's how usually it has happened for years, for decades, right? This is how you and me right here. You know, we have our own fears. People out there who's watching this have their own fears, and as we speak, you might be recognizing yourself with it. So, what I really want to say to you is that for the next following weeks, we are going to discover different basis of fears. Like for today, you know, we discussed fear of success and procrastinations, which they go hand in hand because we will never think that you will have fear of success or that procrastination is a fear. You will just call it a procrastination, right? But that's just two of them. But we also have doubt. When we have doubt, what is doubt? Doubt, the essence of doubt is fear because we doubt that something, when we have doubts, our mind thinks that if something bad is going to happen. It doesn't necessarily goes into what great things are going to happen. It automatically goes into the worst scenario. Now, what if we train our mind to think of the best scenario when our ego tell us, no, don't do that because the worst thing is going to happen? How about we train ourselves to expect the best of any situation?
Ellen, I think we're just about getting to the end here, and we would like our viewers to send in to us some of the strange fears you may have, some fears that maybe came from on down the line, maybe 2 or 3 generations past, and you're saying, I've got that fear and it's strange, and I'd like to share it with us. We'd like to compile a list of, call it for better for the worse, weird fears, I guess. We'll call it weird fears. But send it to Ellen after the bottom of this because we'd like to compile that and share some of them with you to see how strange, I guess, many people's fears can be. So with that, turn it back over to you, Ellen, and you can say goodbye.
Yeah, so that's very good. We want to do that because we want to have a conversation. You see, for the next few weeks, we want to have a conversation about fears. How does it affect your life? And probably, you know, we're able to give you some suggestions of how to deal with it. Because as we are growing into our best self, we are learning how to overcome those negative fears and how instead of using fear to stop us from achieving our lifestyle, the desired lifestyle, that we are able to use fear to help us move forward and to get what we want of life and to live happy, you know, happy and healthy. Those are the things that most of us wants to do. So get into the conversation, share the videos with your friends, and like us on social media. Get in touch with us. And thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll see you next Monday.